The opening round of the season took place at Nogaro in France 2 weeks ago. It was a WRT Audi lockout on the front row, but as the lights went green, the 38 Mercedes of Marc Basseng struggled to find a way through. Another man to get shuffled back in the pack was qualifying race podium finisher Albert von Turnen-Taxis. He was 12th by the end of the first lap. It was a brilliant start though from the number 1 McLaren of Fred Makovicky. You can see here as the lights go green up at the front, he gets a brilliant start, moves to the left-hand side and slices past most of the field before he even gets to the start line, hanging it on up the inside into turn 1 to move up into the top 10. The second McLaren was in trouble, Grégoire de Moustier getting forced out wide by Mike Parisi and losing a number of positions in the process. But the number 1 car of Fred Makovicky hardly made it past the second lap. He came straight into the pits with technical problems. Marc Basseng then picked his way past the AF Corsa Ferrari of Enzo Ede, and his teammate would soon follow through. After 18 laps, Grégoire de Moustier retired the second McLaren, and as the pit stop phases began, the all-inkl squad got their Mercedes turned out very quickly indeed. Enzo Ede handed over to Francesco Castellacci in the number 4 AF Corsa car, but it was a battle for the lead between the two WRT Audis. In the end, it was a slicker pit stop for the 33 machine, Oliver Jarvis exiting the pits just ahead of his teammate Laurens Vanthoor, who'd taken over from Stefan Ortelli. With hotter tyres, Vanthoor was soon on the attack, attempting a move around the outside at turn 4. It didn't come off though, and the Belgian had to settle for second place for the time being. He then tried a lunge a few laps later, going down the back straight into the hairpin. But Jarvis was wise to it and managed to get the cutback to retain the lead. The battle would continue for the next few laps, but further back in the order, Thomas Engst was starting to make an impression, here getting past one of the BMWs to move up into the top 10. Vanthoor then made the move stick for the lead down at the hairpin and would gradually begin to pull away from Oliver Jarvis. The Mercedes had moved themselves up into 3rd and 4th, with the two AF Corsa Ferraris in 5th and 6th. But it was the Stefan Ortelli and Oliver Jarvis car that exited the final corner to take the first win of the season in the championship race after winning the qualifying race yesterday, much to the delight of Frank Stippler, and completing a WRT Audi whitewash of the weekend in Nogaro. An excellent drive from Peter Cox saw him recover to 7th place, but it was the WRT Belgian Audi club who dominated the opening round of the season. After a difficult opening weekend in Nogaro, Aston Martin are looking to bounce back here in Belgium. Andreas Zuber and Sergei Afanasiev were hampered by a lack of track time, but the 7 car in the hands of Maxime Martin and Alexei Vasiliev showed good pace, and Max feels this weekend will be stronger for the DBR S9.
I'm really happy to be here in Zolder in my home race with the Aston, where I think that the track is quite nice for the Aston, so I hope we can do quite not so bad.
Audi's start to the 2012 championship was perfect. A 1-2 in both the qualifying and championship race leaves them as the team to beat. Oliver Jarvis and Frank Stippler will be pushing for the top step after 2 second places, and the Belgian Audi Club run cars will also be hoping for a strong performance at their home circuit, with local man Laurens Vanthoor knowing exactly what the squad need to do to repeat their success in Nogaro.
Well, it's my home race in Zolder, at 50 meters from here, so we hope to do good, but we will do our job, work hard, try to not make any failures, and then we will get the result we deserve.
Double GT1 champions Vita for One racing team endured a testing weekend in Nogaro, finishing 10th and 11th in the championship race. Things are looking better for Zolder though, where the Z4 seems more at home after Friday practice. Any hopes of strong finishes will rely on GT ace Jelmer Berman performing to the best of his abilities.
Well, this is a real BMW track, so hopefully with a new balance of performance we'll be aiming to get on the podium.
Nogaro was a case of what might have been for Ferrari. The Italian marque had their strong dry pace hampered by rain in the qualifying race, then a drive-through penalty in the championship race. But Tony Villander and Felipe Salaquada are once again looking like they're going to be at the sharp end this weekend. Francesco Castellacci will pilot the number 4 458 alongside another man hoping his local knowledge will help him in Belgium, Enzo Ede.
For this weekend's race, we will push like hell. We will try to get on the podium, as this is my home track, and the car feels really great.
Ford were battling against time to be prepared for the opening round of the season. But with a more settled crew, Matteo Cressoni is hoping that he and Milos Pavlovic can do a better job this weekend.
We've worked a lot after the first race. We have an almost new car here. We hope to do a really good job.
Reiter Engineering once again showed their technical expertise in Nogaro, guiding the Lamborghini to a strong set of finishes. A brilliant drive in the championship race from Peter Cox to take 7th position on Easter Monday pleased the team. But it was the qualifying race heroics of Thomas Enger that took the plaudits. He climbed from 7th to 1st in the opening 2 laps.
It's a beautiful circuit. We know the Lamborghinis did well here last year. We hope to repeat the same. I'm really proud of my stint in qualifying race in Nogaro, and I hope the conditions will be about similar, because we know in rain conditions the Lambo is great.
It may have been the home race for the Hexes team, but Nogaro was a weekend to forget for the French squad. Steph Dusseldorf crashed on the reconnaissance lap for the qualifying race, and neither machine managed to make it to the end of the championship race, as they both retired with technical problems. But Dusseldorf is confident the team can make amends.
So we're here in Zolder, trying to put a good result after a difficult weekend in Nogaro, but I'm sure with the home crowd and the home race we can do a good result.
The Mercedes were the best of the rest in Nogaro after Audi's domination. The all-inkl Munich motorsports team left the French circuit second in the team's championship after Marc Basseng and Marcus Finkelhock guided their SLS AMG to 3rd in the championship race. They took maximum points in last season's round at Zolder, albeit in the Lamborghini.
Yeah, we are here in Zolder. We have good memories from last year when we started on pole position. Unfortunately, we didn't make it to a win in the race, so hopefully we can do that this year. Still need to gain a little bit of speed, and hopefully we do that tomorrow.
Porsche too had a strong opening weekend and deserved more than their 9th place in the championship race. Mike Parisi starred at his home event, and his teammate Matt Halliday is feeling positive ahead of the race.
Well, this weekend here in Zolder, we've been quick in practice. We're going to put our head down and try and carry through and get a good result. Saturday and Sunday where the points are, so hopefully it goes smooth.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Zolder for the qualifying race ahead of the second round of the FIA GT1 World Championship. We had dry weather earlier on today, but a short downpour just before we came on air means that the circuit is pretty wet indeed, and they're all going to be starting on the wet tyre, I have no doubt. My name is Jack Nichols, up here in the commentary position. Down in the pit lane we have Hayley Coxon, and alongside me in the commentary box we have John Watson. And John, we weren't really expecting this weather. We were all set for a nice dry race, but then the heavens opened, as they so often do here.
Thank goodness they have, Jack, because all I can say is wet to dry, and we hope this will be a wet race that will go to dry. You're going to see some, well, let's say, sights that you may never have seen in a motor race before.
So let's hear from Peter Cox. He's going to be starting second on the grid today.
Peter, the question is, can you beat the Audi to the first corner?
I think it will be, as always, very critical. And obviously the conditions change now just before the race, but they're the same for everybody. So just see if we can survive the first corner and the first few laps, and then settle in, and then I think we should have a good race car.
Thank you.
So the cars head off on their formation lap around this 4.1 kilometre Zolder circuit. This first corner is going to be interesting. The spray is going to be interesting as well, because it's concrete walls all the way around most of this circuit here. There's the number 4 AF Corsa Ferrari, Francesco Castellacci. We saw one going up the hill slowly on the reconnaissance lap, so I wonder if there's some technical gremlins there. This 16-car field is about to start a 1-hour race here at Zolder in very wet, very slippery, very difficult conditions. Pole position will be Oliver Jarvis in the 33 Audi. He will have the inside line and the ideal line going down into the first corner. He's dropped back a little bit. He's waiting to back the field up. And as we wait for the lights to go out here at Zolder, the cars are looking for them. The race is underway, and it's a very good start from Peter Cox. He is immediately into the lead. Mike Parisi looking to the inside immediately already. All also Thomas Jaeger having a look up the inside. That's a good move from him. Are they all going to make it through turn 1 safely? It does look like it at the moment as they exit. Peter Cox leads. Oliver Jarvis is in second, and third position at the moment. I apologise, it's not Thomas Jaeger, it's his teammate Nicky Pastorelli starting that car.
3 wide coming into turn 2, McLaren sandwiching that Lamborghini Ferrari. So Ryan Aldaroper tries to get the car into clear. Well, you can't see anything. It's absolutely zero visibility.
And not a very good start for Ren Wei. You can see there at the back in the Exim Bank Team China Porsche. But Peter Cox it is who leads down to the first chicane. And here comes Nicky Pastorelli on the attack against Oliver Jarvis. He's not close enough to make the move. Will Jarvis be able to get the car stopped in time? Yes, he can. Almost contact behind. Real side-by-side racing as they exit down through the descending turn 7 now. Thomas Enger's made a great start.
But they've done the BMWs with side-by-side. That was Yilmar Benman. So there he's dropped now behind the Porsche. That's the car driven right now by Mike Parisi.
So Parisi had a good initial getaway, was up to third on the run down into turn 1, but has now dropped a few places and is now down, I think, in 6th or 7th position. We'll wait for confirmation at the end of the first lap. And Parisi is coming under pressure now from Yilmar Berman on the run down into turn 12. Is he going to be close enough? Parisi covers the inside line, and there's no way through for Yilmar Berman just yet, but Steph Dusseldorf is right behind in that McLaren as they come down to the final chicane at turns 15 and 16 to complete the first lap. There's been a swap between the Mercedes, hasn't there? Marc Basseng is now up into third place ahead of Nicky Pastorelli. Berman is past Mike Parisi now, up into 6th position. So that move must have happened down there at turn 1, and will Berman now start to pull away? Parisi was saying he was desperate for dry conditions in that Porsche. It hasn't worked out. Pastorelli goes wide. Is this a chance for Thomas Enger to stick it around the outside into turn 2? He loves the outside in the wet, doesn't he?
Well, I mean, that was an easy pass because Nicky Pastorelli got on the curb on the exit of turn 1. Yilmar Bowman's also gotten past that Mercedes-Benz. So in the space of 2 corners, the second of the 2 Mercedes has gone from 4th down to 6th place.
Nice wide line being taken in by Marc Basseng. We ride on board as he tries to hunt down Oliver Jarvis in front of him. This is down towards the final chicane on the circuit, turns 15 and 16.
Nothing between these 2 cars and acceleration. The balance of performance in that particular party between these 2 cars. In fact, the Lamborghini making a mistake.
Yeah.
The Audi also sort of getting caught up on it. But Marc Basseng not really anticipating it enough to be able to take advantage of it, but goes down the right-hand side of the pit straight, hoping to get a better entry into turn 2. And on the exit, he might well be able to put himself just ahead of Oliver Jarvis in the Audi. There we see the onboard shot, and I run out of breath. But Jarvis consolidates, keeps 2nd place.
And Yilmar Berman and Thomas Enger are closing in on them as well, so it's pretty much a 5-way scrap for the lead at the moment. Here comes Yilmar Berman up the inside into turn 5. He's through and he gets it stopped. So Berman up into 4th position then, and he's going to be on the back of these top 3 before too long. Across the line they come. Peter Cox's lead is now up to 1.2 seconds, so he's slowly starting to edge away. We've got a nice battle there going on between Parisi and Nicky Pastorelli. Then we've got the McLaren of Steph Dusseldorf on the outside of Matthias Lauda, trying to go all the way around the outside. That's going to be a brave one, Steph. He has to concede and ultimately loses the position to Philippe Salaquada.
I mean, he put himself into that position, nobody else. He was on the outside coming down the pit lane, and there was never a chance of that BMW conceding to the McLaren.
We go back on board with Marc Basseng looking to the BMW behind us, and he's later on the brakes, it seems, and he's hugging the apex a lot more through turn 3 as well. So it looks as though that BMW is handling a lot better through the corners.
And has got a good run off turn 3. Can he get down the inside into turn 4? He looks to go down the inside, side by side. We're on board with the Mercedes, but look, Marc Basseng just braves it out and maintains 3rd.
So there's our race leader, Peter Cox, just disappearing out of sight as the cars brake for turn 12, and Berman's going for it up the inside. No, he's not. That was a late decision to have a little stab, and then he backed out of it quickly. We're now watching the other all-inkl car, Nicky Pastorelli, still holding off Mike Parisi, but still, it's only just. There was only a 1/10 of a second between them as they crossed the line last time, and now Parisi's got the inside line, and he's made it through, and Mike Parisi moves up into 5th position because has Thomas Enger got some sort of problem there, John?
Well, he suddenly just dropped back from the group of cars he was running in.
Oh, a bit of damage there on the back of Renway's car, so he must have had a little trip into the scenery, I wonder. Peter Cox leads, but this is still the 3-way battle over 2nd position. On that last lap, Mike Parisi I think he was still overtaking on that last lap, and it sounds like it's a gearbox problem for a Lamborghini.
It's a very unusual failure. Of course, pedal shift gear changes in all these cars. Thomas Enger out. That's huge disappointment for the Czech driver. The great fun to watch and a great driver.
Let's hear what they've got to say.
Thomas, can you tell us what's going on with the car?
Well, we don't know at this moment. I can't describe it. I've never experienced that. Just like problem with the gearbox, shifting, electronic, some glitches we have there, and I don't know what it is. We have to look at it.
Here's the start again. Now Peter Cox was comfortably ahead.
Yes.
But this isn't actually the start. But Jarvis didn't seem to catch up. Jarvis didn't seem to be alongside.
Yeah, but it's not his responsibility.
Well, yeah, exactly. Whose responsibility is it?
Peter Cox should have dropped back.
Yeah. And so there you can see as they cross the start line, Peter Cox was comfortably in front of Oliver Jarvis, but of course that's one for the stewards to decide.
Drive-through penalty for car 25, and that is our race leader jumping the start. Rocket scientists would have worked that one out. Shame for the race, shame for Peter Cox, but you must not overtake the car beside you.
So Peter Cox moves into the pit lane, giving Oliver Jarvis the lead of this race, the lead of the qualifying race here at Zolder. But right up behind him is the all-inkl Mercedes, and side by side is Jelmer Berman and Mike Parisi. We know the Porsche is good in the straight line, and Parisi's through up into what is now third position, past Jelmer Berman almost instantly, but when he got up to the back of him.
Well, you know, a car with an engine hanging out behind the rear axle, when it comes to traction off a low-speed corner, you've got to think it's going to get the advantage, and that's what Mike Parisi did. Just was able to get the squirt down where the BMW was having just to be a little bit more cautious on the throttle. Peter Cox has carried out his drive-through penalty. Now be careful on the exit of the pit lane. Don't run over that white line, because you'll be back in the pit lane once again if you do so.
Where's he going to come out? Just behind Steph Dusseldorp McLaren, so it's 10th place, I believe, for Peter Cox. Oh, big slide from Basseng on the exit of turn 10. This is a battle between a McLaren and a BMW. It's Matthias Lauda coming under pressure from Steph Dusseldorp over 7th position now. Although I think that is because some of the Ferraris have pitted, but it's not going to be long before Dusseldorp is passed, because Lauda is all over the shop, and through he goes up the inside.
Slicks going on through the Peter Cox, Darrell O'Day, Lamborghini. That is a brave move. It'll be either the winning move or it'll be the sucker punt.
Well, they've got nothing to lose, have they? It's going to be wets going on to the Audi of Oliver Jarvis, who's going to hand over to Frank Stippler. But yeah, good spot there, John. Slick tyres definitely going on as we wait to see what the Audi team will decide to do. I wonder if they're going to try and pull the same trick, the 32 Audi, because they are well down in about 9th position they were before the pit stop started. So I wonder if they'll fancy giving Laurens Vanthoor a nice set of slick tyres, and those look like wet.
It's hard to tell. You couldn't get a good enough glimpse as we came past to see whether they're going to put on set of wets to that car or not.
Wets,
indeed.
So wets going back on for Laurens Vanthoor. Into the pits comes Oliver Jarvis, and second place and third place. Now, the interesting thing to note there was Darrell O'Young in the Lamborghini was right up behind Oliver Jarvis and was putting him under some decent pressure. O'Young comes across the line, a 40.9 middle sector, 4 seconds off the pace, 32.5 final sector, 2 seconds off the pace. So are any of these teams, I don't think any of them are going to take the risk.
Slicks
on the Porsche, exactly what they did in qualifying.
And Matt Halliday was the man that was behind the wheel when they did that in qualifying.
Fantastic. So, and it slicks on the Mercedes as well, so we really have got a 50-50 split. Who is going to have taken the tactical gamble and made it pay off? Out of the pits then comes Frank Stippler. He's on the wet tyres, a very slick pit stop.
Why did Audi not take the chance to put one on wets and one on dries? You know, if you commit to both cars on wets, either both are going to be wrong or possibly both might be right. Here's the McLaren now. It's got to come in. It is coming in. So Alvaro Perez stayed out until the very last moment. He left it with 10-12 seconds to get into the pit lane. He's got to get over that white line, and he does it with, well, how's that for cutting it fine?
I think that's why Dusseldorp was pushing, wasn't it? Because he knew he had to make it back to the pit lane.
But and watch this Hexus pit stop, because they have been so strong. Now the Ferrari clearly is on wets because it's running down the left-hand side of the pit straight. looking for any bit of racetrack where there's moisture.
Oh, and there's all sorts of splashing going on down there in the pit lane.
Well,
that's Steph Dusseldorp coming in as the Aston came out. But now is going to be the interesting thing, because in a minute we're going to have, just coming past out of the commentary box window, I can see Frank Stippler in the 33 car has moved into the lead. It's going to be slicks on this number 1 McLaren as well, which is a sensible decision, really, considering how far down the order they are. But Stippler came across the line, did the fastest third sector of anyone in that race so far. Laurens Vanthoor on wets did the fastest lap of the race. So this is going to be touch and go. But the crucial thing is, John, we've still got 24 minutes left, and surely it's only going to get drier.
The McLaren coming out of the pit lane ran very, very wide. I thought he got so close to the barrier, we lost vision of that car. Clearly it didn't catch it, and he ran, well, again, just Fred Makovic ran that white line, didn't go over it, but ran it. You can see how cautious he is being on those basically cold, slick tyres.
So Audis are first and third now. The difficulty for Porsche is that Molnar Motorsports, who are running the car, are used to endurance racing, where pit stops don't really matter, so they're losing time in the pit stops. Let's hear from Oliver Jarvis. He's down in the pits.
Ollie, whose decision was it for you to go out on wets?
A miscommunication. I called for slick tyres, and unfortunately the radio didn't work. So we have to hope we can hang on in there. I think here with the trees, the radio is quite difficult, but I really think the slicks will be much quicker now, so we have to wait and see.
Well, you were surprised that they've sent them out on wets, and ultimately and the 32 car comes in, Vanthoor comes in, he said, no, I can't do it, I'm not going to do it on the wets.
Well, you've got 22 minutes, well, just about 22 minutes of the race remaining, as we see the Porsche and the McLaren. Number 1, Fred Makovic, the Porsche pulls out Matt Halliday as we go back into the pits. Second pit stop of the day, and a little bit of a fumble around the rear of that car. Porsche sweeps past the McLaren and immediately is pulling cleanly away.
Well, it's fair to say the Belgian Audi Club won so comfortably in Nogaro because they were the slickest team. They had the best strategy, the drivers all pulled together, they had quick pit stops, and that's ultimately what gave them the race wins. Today is a different story, but this is the battle for the race lead, and it's not going to be too long, is it, before Winkelhock gets past?
There's no, when Winkelhock is going to get past, Frank Stippler is a sitting duck, and you can see Stefano Telli there, the look on his face. He knows that they've been stitched up. Miscommunication, it's very unusual, but it does happen. The Mercedes on the slicks, the Audi on the wet weather tyre, and really all Marcus Winkelhock is going to do is sit there, because the pace of the Audi is just going to evaporate with its tyres. Already into turn 4, it's going to be a pass into turn 4. Offline, on the wet line, nevertheless, still enough grip on those slick tyres, and you can see Mark Basseng absolutely, well, he's happy with that.
So Marcus Winkelhock takes the lead of the race. Stefano Telli shaking his head.
So look, the BMW now all over the back.
They've got to pit him because he's going to lose so much time. Frank Stippler surely will just go straight on now. And yes, into the pits comes Frank Stippler. So that means race leader 38, Marcus Winkelhock in the Mercedes. Second place is the 18 BMW of Michael Bartels. Third position is the second Mercedes of Thomas Jaeger. And then it's Matt Halliday's. I imagine Mark Basseng is fairly satisfied. Let's find out.
Mark, as you can see, some people have made a bad decision with regards to tyres, but you've definitely gone with the right strategy.
Yeah, it was really difficult because my radio was not really working. I had just a minute before the pit stop, it starts to work again, and I was just shouting slick, 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 slick. And but it did the right tyres on. Marcus is doing a great job on the outside. It's really tricky still, but I think it looks good now.
Look at the sky behind the pits, it is black.
Yeah.
So maybe the Audi decision to go on wet was premature.
Yeah.
They should have changed to slicks at the regulation time, but they may all find themselves back on wet weather tyres before this race is finished.
Yeah, if it rains now, we're going to have some fun, aren't we? There is Oliver Jarvis. He's, well, Mark Basseng's come to pay a visit and apologise, actually, it looks like it. He's apologising for that little tap at turn 1. So it looks as though the top 3 are pretty much all closing in on one another then, because the fastest man 2 seconds quicker than his teammate on that last lap, Thomas Jaeger, who was in turn 1 second quicker than the guy in front of that BMW. they can see, or 0.8 of a second to be precise, and then a second quicker than Marcus Winkelhock in front. So these three may well concertina up in the last 12 minutes of this race, and we could have a grandstand finish for the qualifying race win. Remember, there are a few points up for grabs in the qualifying race, only for the top 6, but the main thing is to set the grid for tomorrow's all-important championship race, as Fred Makovicky sets the fastest lap of the race.
I mean, what's so strange in this race is that Marcus Winkelhock has got a comfortable lead, but he's being reeled in by the BMW and the Mercedes behind. Hard to understand what's happening.
Let's hear from Nicky Pastorelli.
Nicky, can Thomas take Michael?
I hope so. It looks like it. He's quicker now. We gambled a bit with the setup. We didn't go to full wet, so we struggled a bit in the beginning when it was wet. But now that it is dry, we are really fast. So he's pushing, and we will see where we end up.
Thank you.
And here we have Enzo Eid making his way past the only remaining Lamborghini. Oh, but then going wide, splashing through the puddle on the exit, and he loses the position once more. What's happened? The race leader, Marcus Winkelhock, is slowing, and all of a sudden, Michael Bartels leads and Thomas Jaeger is second. Absolute catastrophe for the number 38 Mercedes. Marcus Winkelhock appears to have some kind of problem, and he is now dropping backwards. This is now the battle for the lead, but what has happened?
Well, it just suddenly, coming out of turn 4, the lead car just stayed on the left-hand side of the track. The BMW had to move very rapidly to avoid running into the back of it, and in the meantime, we've still got Thomas Jaeger putting pressure on the lead now, the lead BMW of Michael Bartels.
So the race win is up for grabs, and it looks as though the final podium position is up for grabs as we go on board with Fred Makovicky out towards the final sequence of corners at turns 15 and 16. The number 1 Hexus McLaren starting to perform how we expected it to, frankly. And look at that, he's right up with Mike Parisi as they head down, Matt Halliday, as they head down to turns 5 and 6. So much more grip through turn 4, and is that going to be where the McLaren is strongest, but is that going to be where the move makes? Bouncing all over the shop over those curves. And here's almost contact coming down into turn 12. Makovicky is so much stronger through the corners, but that Porsche has the advantage down the straight. Look at it edging away ever so slightly.
The Porsche's gone a long way round, but he's not getting past. He will get past on the exit, and the McLaren sweeps through just before turn 3. Has to get under the throttle, and that might be it all over for Makovicky. He will swillish down the inside into turn 4.
Yep, so Makovicky may well have just lost the opportunity to take the final podium position, potentially, and also don't discount Nicky Meyer-Melnhoff, who all of a sudden is feeling very racy and sends one up the inside of Marcus Winkelhock, moving up into 5th position. So these 3 cars battling over the final podium position, and Jelmer Berman watches on as his teammate for the final time makes the run down into the final sequence of corners here at Zolder, through turn 15, through turn 16, and we weren't expecting it at the start of the race, but a brilliant drive from Michael Bartels and Jelmer Berman gives them the win in the qualifying race here at Zolder, and it's side by side for 3rd position into the final corner. Any one of 3 cars could be in the final position on the podium. The McLaren sends it up the inside. He's not close enough. Matt Halliday holds it all together into the final chicane. Is there going to be an out-dragging from the BMW across the line? No, so it's 3rd place for Matt Halliday, 4th position for Fred Makovicky. Great news for Hexus and McLaren. 5th, I should say, for Nicky Meyer-Melnhoff. 6th for Marcus Winkelhock. Let's hear from Michael Bartels, crossing the line as a race winner.
Congratulations, Michael. What a great performance and a fantastic result for the BMW this weekend.
Well, I was not sure in which position I was until the last 5 laps, so I saw P2, and then I became a little bit nervous. But I was a bit quicker than the car in front of me. It was the Winkelhock maybe, I don't know. But the car behind, Jaeger, was pushing quite hard. So, but at the end of the day, after a quite frustrating opening of the season, first victory in the qualifying race, but feels good. Feels good back on the podium.
Thank you.
Here's a look at the results there, and the BMW winning ahead of the Mercedes, Porsche and McLaren. I'm not sure where McLaren's came from, because they looked dead and buried both at the start of this race, and but things came to them. The experience of Makovicky, Dusseldorp, they're good drivers, it paid off. Marcus Winkelhock and Marc Basseng finished in 6th position. They did get classified but broke down permanently on the warming down lap. There you can see the Ferrari 458 Italia F Corsa car, Tony Villander and Felipe Salaquada. Villander set the fastest lap of the race with a 1 minute 31.166. but he made 3 pit stops along the way, so it really was a torrid afternoon for the Ferrari squad. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Zolder. It's round 2 of the FIA GT1 World Championship of 2012, and it's the championship race, the important race coming up for you this afternoon at a circuit that has been plagued with rain this weekend. It's looking dry-ish out there at the moment. You can see a clear, dry line down the centre of the circuit, and that's where Stefan Otelli and Laurens Vanthoor are going to want to attack. They are leading the championship, but after a disastrous qualifying race, which we'll get into shortly, they are starting down in 12th position on the grid. Their teammates in 2nd place. Then it's the 2 all-inkl cars, Thomas Jaeger and Pastorelli in 3rd, Basseng and Winkelhock in 4th position. And then the AF Corsa Ferraris, Felipe Salaquada, Tony Verlander in 5th, Francesco Castellacci and Enzo Ede in 6th position. And that regimentation of the teams in their 2x2 format means that the championship standings for the teams look fairly similar. Belgian Audi Club, Team WRT at the top of the standings, all-inkl.com Munich Motorsports. It's quite some way off, really, and AF Corsa Ferrari in 3rd position. So, the front 2 rows of the grid are on wet tyres. We believe that Marcus Winkelhock, the number 38 car, is on the slicks. Not sure about Nicky Meyer-Melnhof. I wonder if BMW have split their bets. It's been a fantastic weekend for Michael Bartels and Jelmer Berman, winning the qualifying race yesterday. Thomas Jaeger will be 2nd on the grid. Matt Halliday 3rd. Porsches have had a fantastic weekend as well, and McLaren's 4th on the grid. It's good to see them finally starting to get to grips, the Hexis team starting to get to grips with the MP4C12.
Yeah, I mean, the potential of that car has not even been scratched. We get a glimpse of it from time to time, but they've had to deal with lots of minor little issues, technical issues, electronic issues, sometimes the turbos. So Hexis team working through all these difficulties to get the car to reach the potential. I mean, as I mentioned all the time, that car is the nearest to a pure race car layout.
So we've got a mixture of cars on wet tyres, some are on slicks. It's a perfectly dry track at the moment, but the rain is coming. What more could you throw into the mix for a fantastic GT1 round 2 championship race here at Zolder? We wait for the lights to go out. Michael Bartels on pole position, leads the field away. Immediately Maxime Martin gets another stonking start, dives to the inside line. He's on the wet tyres as they come into turn 1 for the first time. Trying to go around the outside is Thomas Jaeger. Can he move into the lead? The McLaren's got a little bit on the wet and as a result loses out a little bit, but it's the BMW who leads. 2nd and 3rd for the 2 Mercedes. The McLaren's been shuffled down a little bit, as has Nicky Meyer-Melnhof in the 17 BMW. They're all safely through the first corner. The rain is there. Are we going to see the slick shot cars begin to slice through the order?
Well, on the opening lap you can see turns 2 and 3 how damp it was on the line into those corners. So those drivers on slicks are having to be very, very cautious. Those on the wet weather tyres are enjoying as we run down the outside, coming up into turn 5, the group of cars.
So the Mercedes has already got a bit of an advantage. Laurens Vanthoor decides, I live nearby, I can take my own way.
He didn't even attempt, he just literally drove across the inside of the curbing because there was nowhere else for him to put that Audi.
So into turns 8, 9 and 10 they come, and Maxime Martin performing very, very strongly up there ahead of the 2 Nissans. That's Tony Verlander starting the number 3 car. He's jumped from 13th place well into the top 10 now, and he's going to be making the move on Nicky Meyer-Melnhof down into turn 12. He's got the inside line and through he goes. Does he? Not quite. Meyer-Melnhof hanging it on around the outside as they kick up all that cement dust, but Verlander goes through. I think I can just hear rain on the camera there, so I think the wet weather tyres may have been the right move, but at the moment the slick shod Tony Verlander is slicing through the field. The Audis though are on slick tyres, we were told, so it's working out well for them in the opening lap or 2, but all of a sudden if this rain starts coming down, and it is coming down quite a lot at the end of the circuit by the looks of things, as the McLaren was on a challenge but it just got pushed out wide, and Tony Verlander now is up into 6th position after starting in 13th place on the grid. Maxime Martin goes defensive as Matt Halliday attacks around the outside, but the 2 Mercedes exit out onto the start-finish straight. We think that Winkelhock is on slicks and Jaeger on wet. Certainly Jaeger is on wet. I thought I saw Winkelhock on wet as Martin goes past Bartels. So Maxime Martin, incredibly, up into 3rd place. It look at this, almost 4 abreast, and Maxime Martin is going to move him into second place. Into the pits comes Winkelhock, so maybe Winkelhock was on slicks and is coming in for wets as Matt Halliday tries to get past. He's going side by side with Michael Bartels down into turn 1. The Porsche's quick in a straight line, and he holds the position. So what is going on with the all-inkl squad?
The wet tyres onto the Mercedes, and hope by staying out and staying on track that they will actually offset the deficit of lap time against the time it took for those that did go into the pits to put the wet tyres on.
As we go onboard bumper cam style with the Porsche as it goes past, the Audi's staying out. Well, they've decided they might, if they've gone for it, they're going to stick with it.
I mean, all you can do, you've made your decision. Say the time lost now to come in, change 4 tyres, go back out, is probably greater than the time they're losing on a given lap. But at some point that equation will switch around the other way.
Oliver Jarvis has been troubled with tyre choices this weekend.
Ollie, have you made another mistake staying out?
That's a good question. I don't know. For me, it was a gamble to go on wet because it wasn't raining. But you know, now it's raining quite heavy, but you don't know what it will do in 5 minutes. So I think it's a difficult one. The team had a decision to make. We went with what we thought was right, and we'll find out in the next 20 minutes if we were right or wrong.
Thank you.
Wet tyres ready for WRT, unsurprisingly.
Maxime Martin and the Aston Martin have gelled extremely well, and that's a lot of pressure for Thomas Jaeger in the lead Mercedes. Half a second was the time between the two cars going across the start-finish line at the end of lap 6. And Maxime Martin wants to maintain that momentum, get the Aston Martin in the lead and then take control, looking to go down the inside but not anywhere near far enough up. But he gets Thomas Jaeger to respond, and again just shows the nose of the Aston to the Mercedes driver, but has to back out a bit quicker through the chicane.
He's got to drive off. He's
absolutely
on the outside though, on the run down into turn 7. The blue flag's waving, and I'm not really sure why, but he's gone around the outside at turn 7. Maxime Martin in the Valmont Racing Team Russia Aston Martin DBRS 9 moves into the lead. Halliday looking to the outside, Jaeger moving across on him. There's almost a little bit of nudging coming through the final chicane, but this should give Halliday a good run. The Porsche is strong in a straight line. He looks to the outside. The Mercedes is one of the heaviest cars in the field, and Matt Halliday, with a better drive out of the final corner, gets along the outside and gets into second place.
Yeah, good job. Worked hard to get it. He tried for 3 or 4 laps, but makes a mistake on turn 1 and gives it up again. All the good work Matt did to get that place, he loses on the exit of turn 1. Can he do it for a second time? He knew how to do it once, but again the Mercedes just puts itself in a bit of racetrack. Again, right under, bumping into the bumper of the Mercedes-Benz, almost shunts the car forward. Matt had to get out of the throttle to correct that once again, but not close as he was. But look again, good straight line speed. Can he get it done this time? But can... Oh!
They almost touch on the way down into turn 1.
But watch for the cutback. He's going to try and undersling the Mercedes coming out. And again, he can do the same thing.
Through the right-hander at turn 2, then through 3, and now into 4 before the run onto the back straight. This is allowing Maxime Martin to extend an 8-second advantage up at the front of the field. Side by side again. Oh, he's got a wheel on the grass. There's contact going into the final chicane. Halliday just trying to push the limits too much again, but equally he was squeezed over by Jaeger. And that's a spin. That's Benjamin Lariche. Yep, it's the 33 Audi that's gone up the inside of Benjamin Lariche. But he's going to do it all by himself, isn't he?
Benjamin Lariche just almost got a case of the frighteners being put on him.
Let's hear from Pierre from Audi. This tyre strategy might just work out for them.
Yeah, 3 seconds a lap quicker. It looks like your gamble might possibly pay off for you with the slick tyres.
Well, it entirely depends of the weather, because sometimes it rains, sometimes it doesn't rain, so it's a complete lottery. At the moment, it looks good, but it may change in 5 minutes' time. We don't know.
Thank you.
Into the right-hander at turn 4. Oh Young might be able to pull alongside down the back straight. He does. Now Oh Young has pitted very early on, and I think he then changed to the wets. It's now getting to the stages where he might need to want to change back to the slicks, so that was the difficulty he'd have, because there's no rain there at the moment.
Porsche in, Matt Halliday's coming into the handover to Mike Parisi.
So he's going to try and get the undercut with the slick tyres, I would imagine, as the Mercedes carries on, the McLaren carries on, and this is where the gamble has not paid off for Audi, because everyone is coming in to change their tyres now, but they've managed to be able to hold it until the pit lane window has opened, as into the pits comes Michael Bartels as well. So there is the Molnar Motorsport squad getting to work. They have struggled a little bit with their pit stops, mainly because they are predominantly an endurance team. Into the pits for their second pit stop comes Marcus Winkelhock, and Mark Basseng climbs in. Albert von Turnen Taxis is handed over to that man, Thomas Enger. He's going to be taking over as we go on board with Laurens Vanthoor. He stays out after it looked like he was having a little battle with a McLaren down there. As our race leader, Maxime Martin, enters the pit lane to hand over to Alexei Vasiliev. Let's see what kind of pit stop the Valmont Racing Team Russia guys can turn around.
Well, the key will be what will happen after Maxime Martin gets out of that car, because Alexei Vasiliev is not going to run at the pace, but a good pass down the inside for the Mercedes.
Parisi has a look up the inside, not close enough.
But we've seen how quick the Porsche is in relation to this car over the previous lap when Matt Halliday was battling away. And look at the speed off the corner. That's an error from the Mercedes running wide on the curb. Just suddenly seemed to go backwards. And he's done. Where did he find that? It's like he turned the turbo boost up. Of course, there's no boost on this car.
And this is side by side. This is for the lead, isn't it? This is Mike Parisi going past, well, what will be the ultimate lead, I think, going past Alexei Vasiliev. And a spin for Nicky Pastorelli. Out of turn one, he's facing the wrong way, gets it going again, but all that hard work to try and get past the McLaren is undone.
Ferrari are opting to get everything they can out of the new set of Pirelli tyres.
The two Audis are in as well at the same time. Have they got enough pit crew for that? Yes, they have.
Slithered to a halt.
So the two Audis come in. This will be a good little inter-team battle. I'm looking out the window because the Ferrari hasn't left yet, and I'm just looking to see where Mike Parisi will be. Ferrari heading out of the pits now, unless Parisi has already gone through.
I think he has gone through.
He must have done so. Verlander about to head out of the pit lane.
No, in fact, he hasn't done before.
He hasn't. I think this Ferrari is going to be into the lead here, John. So Tony Verlander, we weren't sure if that was going to be the move.
Coming out of turn 16, the Porsche
Audis are coming out. So out of the final corner, across the start-finish straight, comes Mike Parisi. Is he going to be able to get past the Audis? This gamble didn't look like it had paid off at all, but Tony Verlander leads the race in the number 3 AF Corsa Ferrari. Is going to be so close for second position. And it is Mike Parisi just who gets out in front of the 33 car of Oliver Jarvis. Then fourth position is going to be the second Audi. Is this Verlander struggling, isn't he? This is going to be a challenge for the lead. Parisi sends it up the inside into turn 12. And Mike Parisi, does he take the lead? Yes, he does. He's back into the lead of this race. Verlander struggling to get heat into those slick tyres, struggling all over the place. And Parisi is back in the lead. Jelmer Berman did manage to get past Oliver Jarvis. As you can see, Jarvis weaving to try and get some pace up. The other Audi has lost out 2 positions. It might be another one because Nicky Pastorelli is on the outside. This is side by side for sixth position, and Stefano Telli gets past around the outsides.
Once the Audis get those tyres up to temperature, which they ought to be able to do by the end of this lap, or certainly one more lap, they will run at the pace of the front-running car. So right now, it is the Matt Halliday, Mike Parisi car, but their last lap was a 1:38 against the
and that's the move for second place. Berman's just got past.
Say, he's doing
battle over 5th position. Steph Dusseldorp holding on at the moment, and the McLaren almost gets some wheels on the white line, and it's not going to be fought too long before Nicky Pastorelli glides past up the hill. He's going to be on the outside line. This could be contact down through the kink at turn 7. Pastorelli holds on all the way around the outside. Can he get it stopped in time? Yes, he can. Fantastic move from Pastorelli. Yes, it's the Audi. It's Oliver Jarvis has gone off down there at turn 12. He recovers back onto the circuit, but Jarvis from 4th position now drops down into 6th place, and that promotes Nicky Pastorelli up into that 4th position. Here we can see 3 cars all in a train coming through this left and right. 3 brands absolutely nose to tail. There goes the batch again.
Yeah,
and this is the
Castellacci gets spun round.
Here's Alexei Vasiliev, I think, in the Aston Martin, about to be overtaken. Through comes Alvaro Parente. All of them appear to cut the chicane. It's difficult to figure out exactly what happened. Thomas Enger is in that battle. Mark Basseng is looking up the inside into turn 11. Vasiliev is starting to back them all into one another. The Lamborghini now is going to go up the inside into turn 12.
Well, he's going to try, but he's got to get the braking done in a way that he can get the car alongside. Well, he's given plenty of room, and he just drives off the track almost as if it was a sympathy drive.
The left-hand kink down there at turn 7, and it doesn't look as though Stefano Telli's close enough to make a move just yet as they clout those curbs on the bottom. Francesco Castellacci is just set. Fastest lap of the race on lap 26 at 32.333, and he's currently in 11th place.
Just watch this race on board with Ortelli. He clearly is quicker. You can see that he's been making moves, and he's tapped the back of Oliver Jarvis. I mean, that was not intended. You don't do it to your own teammate, but it was watching through the previous 4 or 5 corners that this Ortelli car was getting closer and closer. Simply, the lap time was with Ortelli less than with Oliver Jarvis.
Up the inside, no, yes, eventually the 25 car of Peter Koch leaves the door open. Berman desperately trying to close in on Parisi, and his teammates doing a very good job. Very experienced racer, Jelmer Berman. He's already had a championship race victory in GT1. Only did 1 round last year in St. Louis, and he won it. Is he about to move into the lead of the championship race here at Zolder? He's going to look to the inside into turn 12. Is he? No. Matthias Lauda is doing a very good team job as they turn through turn 12. Now out to the back chicane. What's Lauda going to do? Is he going to just... he moves to the inside line and then moves back to the outside. Parisi knows he's got to, if he wants to get past Matthias Lauda here, he's got to do a proper overtake.
It's got to happen here in the exit of turn 16. The Porsche should have that little bit of an additional drive. Got good straight line speed. He's being forced to go the long way. Is he going to get far enough ahead of the BMW this time? Yes, he has. So he's gotten through now. Matthias has got to get out of the way and let that second place BMW. But remember,
but he's let Peter Cox through. He let Peter Cox through as well, so
exactly.
He's lost the position.
Oh, Ortelli getting it all out of shape as he came out of turn 16, dropped the wheel off the outside of the corner, and the back end started to hop, skip and jump.
Here's Oliver Jarvis absolutely on a charge. Fastest lap of the race last time around, and he's now right on the back of Marc Basseng. This at the moment is the battle over 9th place. We go on board with Basseng, looking back at the threatening front of the Audi R8 LMS. He's struggling on the exit of the corner, almost touching. Brilliant work as they come down into the chicane, I think, at the end of the lap, under the bridge. Basseng goes defensive, slowly moves across. Oh, is there a bit of nudging in there? I think there is.
Well, Oliver Jarvis is doing everything. He's 3 times now in the space of 2 corners. He's had the Audi news buried in the boot of the Mercedes-Benz.
Bernard Milner and Matt Halliday look on because Mike Parisi is braking for turn 15 through the final time. Flick it through the right-hander, and the car that qualified on pole position, had a poor qualifying race, is going to win the feature race, the main championship race here at Zolder. Delight in the Milner Motorsports Garage. Exim Bank Team China team absolutely delighted with that victory. Second place goes the way of the BMW. Third place is going to be easy for Philippe Salaquada. The battle is still on here for 4th position. Nicky Pastorelli in 4th, Steph Dusseldorp in 5th, and 6th place for Stefan Ortelli. It looks like that's going to be the order as they come across the line. Alvaro Parent wasn't quite able to close in quickly enough. Where else are the battles to be resolved? Marc Basseng here.
And Oliver Jarvis following him.
Yep, just holding on ahead of Oliver Jarvis. Thomas Enger comes home in 8th place, and Jarvis taking the final point in 10th position.
Look at that delight from Matt Halliday. They are absolutely chuffed. And Matt Halliday all the way from New Zealand. The Giltrap group, that's Colin Giltrap who supported Matt Halliday.
Let's hear it with our race winners, Mike Parisi and Matt Halliday with Haley.
Congratulations, Mike. An extremely proud team manager Bernard Mulder and everyone back at the garage cheering on for you.
Yes, it was incredible. There is a lot of pressure during the race. The conditions were very, very difficult. I want to thank Bernard Müller for his strategy. It was very fantastic. The car was good. At the end, it was very difficult because I didn't have tires. So I think with my teammate, we are a very good team. And with the team Exim Bank Porsche, thank you, everybody. It's one of my best days in my life. So I'm very happy.
Congratulations, Matt. A great weekend in Zolder.
Yeah, it's been great. You know, the only little blemish was losing, well, getting put 3 spaces back on the grid. But, you know, today with the strategy, we did everything perfectly, starting the track on wet tyres, managed the tyres very well. We made the right call with the pit stop, and the 2 of us just been driving like hell all weekend. So we're very, very happy to put the Porsche in P1 against this very competitive field. Is a fantastic feeling.
Thank you.
Congratulations to our Exim Bank Team China Porsche for taking the win here in the championship race at Zolder.
Jelmer, congratulations, and overall a great weekend for the team.
Yeah, I mean, it's great after Nogaro, where we struggled so badly. And I mean, the conditions helped here because, you know, in the half dry, half wet, on slicks, we're very quick. On the rain tires, we struggle a bit. But I mean, Michael did a great job bringing it in. And, you know, I know what it was like myself yesterday on the situation he was in, so it was very difficult. But he did a great job, and then, you know, I think we had the speed to win it. But unfortunately, the Porsche is so quick on the straights, and you know, there's no way by.
Well, the top 6 in the finishing order, 6 different brands, so I think that's a good example of that. McLaren in 5th position. Good to see the McLarens getting back onto form. Albert von Turn and Taxis and Thomas Enger finishing in 8th place. Marcus Finkelhock and Mark Basseng, Frank Stipper and Oliver Jarvis. It's really mixed up. We've had mixed up weather, and it has mixed up the standings in the championship somewhat after 36 laps around here. Maxime Martin led the race early on. Alexei Vasiliev couldn't quite get into the same kind of pace, but 12th position for them isn't bad. 3rd place for the AF Corsa Ferraris, and there's Paul Kumpen, the administrator of the circuit Zolder here, which has been a great place to hold this GT1 race event, a classic circuit, plenty of overtaking opportunities, giving us some great stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it is a real racetrack. It's an old school racetrack. Okay, too many chicanes for me, but it generally provides exciting motor racing. Sometimes it provides a lot of contact, and the weather here today played its role. It put on 2 days of good, entertaining motor racing. That's what the viewers want, and that's what we hope they were able to watch.
The champagne is sprayed, and Mike Parisi and Matt Halliday absolutely delighted with how this weekend has progressed. Thanks to Haley Watson in the pits, John Watson with me, Jack Nichols, in the commentary box. We'll see you in Navarra.